I catfished my Tinder date and said I was 6'7", then showed up and tried to act normal. Look, I'm 5'9" on a good day, but Bridget's profile said she only dated tall guys, so I lied. The plan was simple. Meet at a dimly lit bar, sit down, never stand up. I arrived early and claimed a corner booth. When Bridget walked in, my stomach dropped. She was stunning. Also wearing 4-inch heels, making her about 6'2". She spotted me and waved. I waved back from my seat. "Hey, you must be Sterling," she said, sliding in. Sterling, the name I'd used because I thought it sounded tall. "That's me. Please, sit." The first 20 minutes went well. We talked about her marketing job, my fabricated consulting career. I'd researched tall guy problems and mentioned hitting my head on door frames. She laughed. I was nailing this. Then the waiter brought our food, to a table 6 feet away. We'd been sitting at someone else's booth. "We need to move," Bridget said, already standing. Panic seized my chest. I couldn't stand up, not now. "Actually, I twisted my ankle," I blurted. "Basketball injury." Her face filled with concern. Great. Now I was a lying, injured catfish. The waiter appeared, annoyed. "You have to move." Bridget looked at me. "My date is injured. This table is reserved. Then we'll move. I'll help you." She reached out her hand. This was it. I took her hand and stood up. Her expression shifted instantly, from concern to confusion to realization. She was looking down at me. Down. "You're not tall," she said flatly. "I'm 5'9", I admitted. Almost 5'10" in these boots. My elevated boots. The ones I'd bought for this date. She stared at me for what felt like 17 years. "You said you were 6'7". I know. That's not a rounding error. Your name isn't even Sterling, is it? It's Dalton." She grabbed her purse. I thought she was leaving. Instead, she sat at a different booth and gestured for me to follow. Against all logic, I did. "Okay, Dalton, explain why I shouldn't walk out right now." So I told her the truth. About her profile. The height requirement. Being an idiot who thought he could hide 10 inches, the boots, everything. She listened without interrupting. "That's the dumbest plan I've ever heard." "I know. You really thought you'd just never stand up? The lighting was supposed to help." I thought I saw her mouth twitch. "You're an idiot," she said. Then she picked up her menu. "But I'm already here and I'm starving. We're going to have dinner. You stop lying. Then I decide if you get a second date." "Really?" "Really. But if you ever lie to me again, I'm gone. Understood?" "Understood." We ordered. We ate. The conversation flowed easier once I stopped pretending. She told me her height requirement wasn't about height, but about guys who lied. The irony wasn't lost on me. 2 hours later, we were still talking. She was laughing at my terrible jokes. When the check came, she grabbed it. "I've got this. Payment for the most disastrous date I've been on." As we walked out, she was definitely taller than me. She turned to face me. "So? Do you want to know if you're getting that second date?" Before I could answer, her phone rang. She glanced at the screen and her entire face went white. "I have to take this," she whispered. I watched her pace, her voice rising, her hands shaking. When she came back, her eyes were wet. "I need to go, right now. Is everything okay?" "I don't know," she said. Then she looked at me. "My ex-husband just called. He's at my apartment." "Your ex-husband?" She nodded. "I need you to come with me, please." I didn't even think about it. "Let's go." We got into her car. She was gripping the steering wheel so hard her knuckles went white. "I'm sorry," she said, pulling out of the parking lot. "This is a terrible thing to drag you into. What's going on?" "Derek, my ex. We've been divorced for 8 months. He doesn't handle it well." The way she said handle made my stomach twist. "Has he done this before?" She nodded, jaw tight. "He shows up at my work, my gym, my parents' house. The restraining order doesn't seem to matter much." "You have a restraining order?" "Yeah. Not that paper does anything when he decides he wants to talk." We drove in silence for a few minutes. She kept checking her mirrors. "I know this is insane," she said. "You don't know me. We literally just met, and I catfished you, and you're probably regretting everything right now. I'm not leaving you alone with him." She looked at me like I'd just spoken a foreign language. "You don't have to do this." "I know." We turned onto her street. Derek's truck was parked in front of her building. A massive black F-250 with those obnoxious lifted suspension mods. Of course. "That's him," she whispered. He was sitting on her front steps, 6'4" easily, built like he lifted cars for fun. When he saw us pull up, he stood. So much for my elevator boots giving me confidence. "Stay in the car," I said. "What?" "No, just for a second. Let me talk to him." "Dalton?" "Trust me." I got out before she could argue. Derek watched me approach, his expression shifting from confusion to amusement. "The fuck are you?" he said. "I'm with Bridget." "Yeah? Where'd she find you, the kids menu?" I stopped about 10 feet away, close enough to talk, far enough to run if needed. "She has a restraining order. You know you're not supposed to be here." He laughed, actually laughed. "That's adorable. You her lawyer now? I'm asking you nicely to leave." "Or what? You gonna make me?" He took a step forward. "You're what, 5'8"? 5'9", I said. "And I'm not trying to fight you." Smart. Behind me, I heard Bridget's car door open. "Derek, leave!" she called out. "We need to talk," he said, trying to look past me. "No, we don't. You can't just ignore me forever. I've been ignoring you successfully for months." He moved to walk around me. I stepped in his path. Stupid, considering he could probably bench press me, but I did it anyway. "She asked you to leave." Derek looked down at me. Way down. "Move." "No." For a second, I thought he was going to hit me. His fist actually clenched. Then Bridget's voice cut through. "I called the police. They're 2 minutes away." He hesitated, looked at me, at her, back at me. "This isn't over," he said. "Yeah, it is," Bridget replied. Derek climbed into his truck and peeled out. The whole thing took maybe 3 minutes, but my heart was hammering like I'd run a marathon. Bridget came up beside me. "You're shaking." "Little bit." That was either really brave or really stupid. Can it be both? She smiled. Actually smiled. Come on, let's get inside before he comes back. Her apartment was nice, clean, the kind of place that always smells like lavender and fresh laundry. She locked the door, then the deadbolt, then engaged the chain. Sorry, she said. I'm paranoid now. Don't be sorry. She went to the kitchen and pulled out 2 wine glasses, filled them both to the rim, handed me one. To the worst first date in history. To the worst first date in history. We drank. She sat on her couch and patted the cushion beside her. I sat. Thank you, she said quietly, for not running away when I asked you to come, for standing between me and him, for being... She trailed off. Short? I was going to say decent, but sure. We sat there for a minute. Do you want to talk about it? I asked. She took another drink. A long one. Derek and I met in college. He was charming, funny, swept me completely off my feet. We got married 2 years after graduation. What happened? He didn't like that I had opinions about where we lived, what I did for work, who I spent time with. At first, it was little comments. Then it was control. Then it was worse. I didn't push, just waited. He never hit me, she said. But he didn't need to. He'd punch walls next to my head, throw things, scream until I couldn't think. One time he locked me in our bedroom for 6 hours because I'd gone to lunch with a coworker he didn't like. A female coworker. Bridget. I finally left last year, moved out while he was at work, filed for divorce the same day. Got the restraining order after he showed up at my office and made a scene. I'm sorry. She shrugged. It's not your fault I married a psychopath. It's not your fault either. She looked at me then. Really looked. You know what's funny? My profile said I only dated tall guys because Derek was obsessed with it. He used to brag about how he could see over crowds, how I looked good next to him in photos, how our kids would be tall. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. I thought if I dated tall guys, they'd be nothing like him. Stupid, right? Not stupid. Pretty stupid. She took another drink. You lied about your height to match with me, but you told me the truth when it mattered. Derek lied about everything and never stopped. We sat there in her living room, drinking wine, while police sirens wailed somewhere in the distance. Not for us. They never came. Did you really call them? I asked. No, but he didn't know that. Smart. My therapist's advice. He's terrified of cops because he's got priors. Nothing violent, just drunken disorderlies, but enough to make him think twice. Good therapist. She's kept me sane. Bridget finished her wine and set down the glass. Okay, real talk. You can leave now if you want. This is way more baggage than anyone signs up for on a first date. What if I don't want to leave? Then you're crazy. Probably, she smiled. You want to watch terrible reality TV and pretend this night didn't happen? What kind of terrible reality TV? The kind where people marry strangers. Perfect. We watched 3 episodes of some show where people got married after meeting once. Bridget provided commentary on every red flag, which was basically every scene. Around episode 2, she fell asleep against my shoulder. I didn't move. Didn't want to wake her. She looked peaceful. Safe. Around 2 a.m., she stirred. Sorry, she mumbled. Didn't mean to pass out on you. It's fine. She sat up, rubbing her eyes. You should probably go. Early tomorrow and all. I don't have anywhere to be. Dalton. What? Go home. Get some sleep. We can talk tomorrow if you want. I stood up. Slowly. My leg had fallen asleep and I nearly face-planted into her coffee table. She caught my arm, laughing. Real smooth. I'm full of grace. At the door, she stopped me. Thank you. Seriously. For tonight. All of it. Even the catfishing? Especially the catfishing. At least it makes for a good story. Does this mean I get a second date? She pretended to think about it. Maybe. If you promise to never lie to me again. Never. And if you promise to be honest about everything. Even the embarrassing stuff. Especially the embarrassing stuff. Deal. She opened the door. Text me when you get home so I know you made it safe. You worried about me? Little bit. I drove home replaying the entire night in my head. The lies, the truth, the ex-husband, standing up to someone twice my size because walking away felt wrong. I texted her when I got home. She replied immediately. Sleep well, Dalton. Or whatever your real name is. It's really Dalton. I swear. Good. One less thing to worry about. I fell asleep smiling like an idiot. The next morning I woke up to 17 texts, all from Bridget. The first one came in at 4 a.m. You awake? Then, sorry, ignore that. Actually, don't ignore it. Derek came back. My stomach dropped. I called immediately. She answered on the first ring. Hi. Her voice was hoarse. Are you okay? Define okay. Bridget. He didn't get in. I called the police for real this time. They came, took a statement, left. Where is he now? I don't know. That's the problem. He's out there somewhere, and I'm sitting here waiting for him to come back. I'm coming over. You don't have to... I'm already getting dressed. 20 minutes later, I was back at her apartment. She answered the door in sweatpants and an oversized Northwestern hoodie, her hair pulled back, eyes red. She looked exhausted. You're here, she said. I said I would be. She stepped aside to let me in. I made coffee. Perfect. We sat at her kitchen table. She wrapped her hands around her mug like she was trying to absorb its warmth. He left a note, she said quietly. Under my door. The police took it as evidence, but I read it first. What did it say? That I belong to him. That we're meant to be together. That I'm making a mistake by pushing him away. She took a shaky breath. That if I don't talk to him, he'll make me regret it. That's a threat. The police said it's not specific enough. They documented it, but there's nothing they can do unless he actually does something. That's insane. That's the law. I sat back, processing. What do you want to do? I don't know. Move? Change my name? Become a nun? Would that work? Probably not. He'd find the convent. She laughed, but it turned into something that sounded more like a sob. I reached across the table and took her hand. She held on tight. I'm scared, she whispered. I know. He's never going to stop. Then we make him stop. She looked up at me. We? You're not doing this alone. Dalton, you barely know me. I know enough. We spent that day together. I worked from her couch on my laptop while she caught up on sleep. Around noon, she emerged from her bedroom looking slightly more human. You're still here. Where else would I be? I don't know. Living your life? Not babysitting your mess of an ex? This is my life now, apparently. She sat beside me. Why are you doing this? Because walking away feels wrong. That's not a good enough reason. It is for me. Over the next few days, we fell into a routine. I'd show up in the morning with coffee. We'd work, her from home, me wherever she was. I'd leave at night, but not before checking every lock twice. On day 4, she asked me to stay. On the couch, she clarified. Just in case. Okay. You sure? I know this is weird. Everything about us is weird. That night, I slept on her couch with one ear open for any sound at the door. Nothing happened. Or the next night. Or the night after that. By the end of the week, Derek seemed to have disappeared. Bridget started to relax. Started joking again. Started looking at me differently. You know what's funny? She said one night. We were watching another terrible reality show. What? We've spent every day together for a week, and we've never actually been on a real date. This doesn't count? You sleeping on my couch because I'm terrified? Not exactly romantic. What would a real date look like? She thought about it. Dinner, somewhere public, where we talk about normal things like jobs and hobbies instead of restraining orders and psychotic exes. Tomorrow night. You're asking me out? Is that weird? We've kind of skipped some steps. We've skipped all the steps. Tomorrow night, she decided. But you're picking the place and I'm picking the outfit and we're going to pretend this is a normal first date. Deal. The next night, I took her to a small Italian place downtown, the kind with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles. We sat across from each other and talked about normal things, her job in marketing, my actual job in accounting, how she'd always wanted to learn pottery, how I'd once tried to make sourdough and burn down half my kitchen. How do you burn down a kitchen making bread? She asked. Special talent. Clearly. For 3 hours, we were just 2 people on a date. No Derek, no drama, just us. When we left, she took my hand. That was nice. Yeah? Yeah, normal nice. We walked back to her car. The night was cold and clear, stars visible despite the city lights. Thank you, she said. For what? For making me feel normal again. Like I'm not just the girl with the crazy ex. You're not. I know. But sometimes it's hard to remember. We drove back to her apartment in comfortable silence. She parked and we both sat there for a minute, neither of us moving. Dalton? Yeah? I'm glad you lied about your height. Really? If you hadn't, I wouldn't have matched with you. And then where would I be? Probably with someone taller who doesn't burn down kitchens, but less entertaining. She leaned across the center console and kissed me, soft and brief and perfect. When she pulled back, she was smiling. Was that okay? More than okay. We went inside. She locked the door, the deadbolt, the chain, and we settled on the couch. You can sleep in the actual bed tonight, she said. The couch is fine. Dalton, I don't want to assume anything. She took my hand. I'm not asking you to assume. I'm asking you to stay. So I did. That night, I held her while she slept, and for the first time in a week, she didn't wake up panicking. Didn't check the locks 3 times. Didn't jump at every sound. She just slept. Everything was good for exactly 9 days. On day 10, Derek showed up at her work. Her boss called me, frantic. Bridget had locked herself in the bathroom and wouldn't come out. I got there in 15 minutes, broke probably 6 traffic laws. The police were already there, talking to Derek in the parking lot. I found Bridget sitting on the floor of the women's restroom, knees pulled to her chest. Hey, I said softly. She looked up. Her mascara had run, leaving black streaks down her face. He said he's been watching me, that he knows about you, that he knows everything. Come on, let's get you out of here. I can't go out there. Yes, you can, I'm with you. I helped her up. We walked out together, past the concerned co-workers, past her boss, past the police still questioning Derek. He saw us, smiled. Actually smiled. Like this was all a game and he was winning. In the car, Bridget couldn't stop shaking. He's never going to leave me alone. Then we get a better lawyer. Strengthen the restraining order. Document everything. That's not enough. What else can we do? She looked at me with hollow eyes. I don't know. But I can't keep living like this, waiting for him to show up, wondering when, where. It's killing me. We drove to the police station, filed another report. The officer was sympathetic but honest. Unless he physically harms you or makes a direct specific threat, there's not much we can do. So I have to wait until he hurts me? Bridget asked. That's not what I'm saying. But it's what you mean. We left. Got back in the car. Sat there. I have an idea, I said. What? It's probably terrible. Tell me anyway. What if we move? Both of us. Somewhere he can't find us. She stared at me. You'd move? Why not? Because we've known each other for 2 weeks. Because that's insane. Because I care about you and I'm tired of watching you be scared. She was quiet for a long time. Where would we even go? I don't know. Somewhere far. Texas, Oregon, Montana. You'd give up your job? Your apartment? Your life here? My life here is just stuff. You're more important than stuff. Dalton? Think about it. Just think about it. That night we researched cities, made lists, talked about jobs and apartments and starting over. It felt crazy. It felt necessary. Seattle, she said finally. What? Seattle. I've always wanted to live there. The coffee, the mountains, the ocean nearby. Seattle it is. You're serious about this? Completely. Over the next 3 weeks we planned. I gave my notice at work. She quit her job. We listed both our apartments. Found a place in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood. 2 bedrooms because even in crisis we tried to maintain some boundaries. We told no one, not her parents, not my friends. Just quietly dismantled our lives and prepared to rebuild them somewhere else. The night before we left, Derek showed up one last time. We were loading the last boxes into the U-Haul when his truck pulled up. He got out slowly, taking in the scene. Going somewhere? Bridget straightened. I moved beside her. That's none of your business, she said. Running away? Moving on. He walked closer. You think this changes anything? I'll find you. No, you won't. I know people. I have resources. You have nothing, Bridget said. Her voice was steady now. Strong. You're pathetic. Showing up here, stalking me, threatening me. You're a small, angry man who can't handle that I left. Watch it. No, you watch it. I'm done being afraid of you. Done letting you control my life. Done caring what you think or what you do. You can show up wherever you want. I won't be here. Derek looked at me. You think you're helping her? I'm not trying to help her. I'm just choosing to be with her. There's a difference. Whatever you say, short stack. Original? He stood there for another minute, trying to think of something devastating to say. Something that would hurt. When nothing came, he just turned and walked back to his truck. Drove away. We finished loading the U-Haul and left that night. Drove through darkness toward a city neither of us had ever lived in. Toward something new. You okay? I asked somewhere around hour 3. Bridget was staring out the window at the passing lights. I don't know yet. Ask me when we get there. We reached Seattle 2 days later. The apartment was smaller than the pictures. The neighborhood was louder than we'd expected. None of it mattered. For the first time in months, Bridget could breathe. It's perfect, she said, looking around at our empty living room. It's empty. Exactly. We spent the next few weeks building a life. I found work at an accounting firm downtown. Bridget got a job at a boutique marketing agency. We bought furniture from IKEA and argued about how to assemble it. We explored the city, tried every coffee shop, hiked trails in the Cascades. Slowly, she started to smile again. Really smile. Not the careful, guarded thing she'd been doing for months. 3 months in, she woke me up in the middle of the night. Dalton? Yeah? Do you ever regret it? Uprooting everything for someone you barely knew? I rolled over to face her. Never. Really? Really? Do you? No. But sometimes I feel guilty. Like I dragged you into my mess and you were too nice to say no. You didn't drag me anywhere. I chose this. Why? Because when I stood up at that restaurant and you saw I was short, you didn't walk away. You gave me a chance. So I'm giving you one back. She was quiet. Then, I love you. It was the first time either of us had said it. I love you too, even though I'm taller. Especially because you're taller. Someone has to reach the high shelves. She laughed. Actually, laughed. And I realized Derek hadn't crossed her mind in days, maybe weeks. We lived in Seattle for a year before Derek found us. I don't know how. Bridget thought maybe her parents had mentioned something. Maybe he'd hired someone. Maybe just dumb luck. Either way, his truck appeared on our street one Tuesday afternoon. Bridget saw it first. Went pale. He's here. I know. What do we do? We don't run this time. We walked outside together. Derek was leaning against his truck, arms crossed. He looked different. Older. Tired. Took me a while, he said. Worth it? Bridget asked. I just wanted to see you. Talk. We have nothing to talk about. 5 minutes, that's all. Bridget looked at me. I nodded. 5 minutes, but I'm staying. Derek didn't argue. Fine. We stood there on the sidewalk, waiting. I fucked up, Derek said finally. You think? I was angry. Hurt. I handled it badly. You stalked me, terrorized me, made me afraid to exist in my own life. I know. And now you're here to what? Apologize? Something like that. Bridget laughed. Not a happy sound. You don't get forgiveness, Derek. You don't get closure. You get nothing. Because you gave me nothing but fear and pain. Bridget, we're done. Completely. Forever. If you show up again, I'm filing charges for violating the restraining order. If you contact me, I'm documenting it. If you breathe in my direction, I'm making your life a living hell. Understood? He looked at her like he'd never seen her before. You've changed. I got away from you. Of course I changed. Derek turned to me. You did this. No, she did this. I just stood beside her while she did it. He got back in his truck. This isn't over. Yeah, Bridget said. It really is. He drove away. We waited until his truck disappeared around the corner before going inside. Bridget locked the door, then the deadbolt, then stopped. You know what? What? I'm not going to lock it. You sure? I'm sure. I'm done living in fear. She unlocked everything, opened a window, let fresh air in. He might come back, I said. Maybe. But I can't control that. All I can control is how I react. And I choose not to be afraid anymore. We stood there in our apartment, breathing in the crisp Seattle air, and I watched her finally, truly let go. That was 2 years ago. Derek hasn't shown up since. Maybe he moved on. Maybe he got therapy. Maybe he finally understood that some things are really, truly over. We got married last spring. Small ceremony, just close friends. Bridget wore heels, 4-inch heels. She towered over me in the photos and we both loved it. Sometimes people ask how we met. Bridget grins and says, he lied about his height on Tinder and I had a psychotic ex-husband. Normal stuff. They laugh, thinking it's a joke. We let them. Because the truth is, nothing about us was ever normal. From the moment I stood up at that restaurant and she saw I was shorter than promised, everything has been weird and complicated and perfect. She calls me short stack sometimes. I call her my giant. We laugh about the elevator boots I wore on our first date. They're in the back of our closet now, next to her 4-inch heels. Last week, someone asked if I'd do it all again. The lying, the ex-husband, the moving, the fear, everything. I looked at Bridget across the room, arguing with the TV during some terrible reality show, and I knew the answer. In a heartbeat. Because sometimes the best things start with the worst plans. And sometimes being honest about your height matters less than being honest about everything else. And sometimes love means standing between someone and their demons, even when those demons are 6'4" and you're 5'9" in elevator boots. That's the thing about love. It doesn't care about height. It just cares about showing up. And I showed up. We both did.